Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is the smiling tiger, Darryl.
He does smile. He has an infectious smile. So Smiling Tiger definitely worked there. Anyway, welcome to the show, episode 228. Darryl, did you notice the title of this show in the show notes that I sent you?
Yeah, so I was wondering about that last part.
Okay, so this is episode 282, Godzilla versus Kong versus Keeping My Eyes Open. Because, yeah, spoilers.
Okay.
Anyway, all right. So this week we are obviously talking Godzilla versus Kong. We are going to give a spoiler-free rundown of the first part of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you want to hear the rest of that in the commentary track, you know where to go. Go to patreon.com /infamous podcast and back it. You can get all of those. We're also doing another comic book review this week. We're going to talk about Nightwing 78. I'm not going to put too much hyperbole on this, but it's the best modern comic book I've read in the last 5 years. And then we got a ton of news bites. Before we get to that, though, sticking with the intro here, we are not going to review Invincible on the show. We're not even going to do a standalone, mainly because I don't want to put words in your mouth, Darryl, but I hate it.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I like about it. I love the animation.
Yeah, there's things to like, but...
And I like some of the voice casting. Not all of them. But this is not Invincible. And I don't want to be that guy. But, there are some things that you change when you do a property from book or print to media, live action. Or not even live action, but animated or small screen, big screen, whatever. But fundamentally, the problem is when you fundamentally change who the characters are, it makes for... This show has so much potential just by taking the source material, and it's what they've done is I haven't even gotten excited watching an episode yet. And that for a show like this, for a comic, and yes, I know I was late to the party.
Dude, there's no such thing as late to the party. If you guys haven't read Invincible yet, it's my top 2 favorite comic books of all time.
It's amazing.
And
I'm reading again. I'm rereading it right now.
Yeah, I reread it leading up to all of this to be ready for it, which is why I feel like the disappointment there was legit and real. But anyway, so yeah, we're not gonna go into that. I just don't want to do something where we're bashing it every week.
Yeah,
and I think it's fair enough to say we're as a show not enjoying it, and it's just I don't want to go back and watch the episodes a second time. I don't understand the creative choices that they've made, and it just makes me fear like Seth Rogen and Ian Goldberg
was it? I'm not sure.
His partner, I forget his name. Evan Goldberg. They did not. I did not like their version of Preacher either. And I was hoping
he did that,
because it was gonna be an animation, it was gonna be better. And it wasn't. But anyway, all right. So that being said, we're not gonna cover Invincible. So I was really looking forward to doing just that, and I'm really sad that Amazon let us down.
You were the chosen one.
Apparently, Good Story had the high ground in this situation.
Now the carcass is burning in the fires of Mustafar.
Yup. Anyway, all right. So up first is Mortal Kombat. Got pushed back a week. I don't look at this as a big deal. It's just we were looking forward to it, and I thought that this was well worth talking about. It was just pushed back, and yeah, it's just one of those things.
Well, I also read that if it comes out, then Let There Be Carnage got pushed back a week, but that's not until September.
But that's for the theaters, though, right?
Yeah, that's supposedly in theaters. We'll see, but yeah, this is the hybrid type release,
Yep.
which I find it interesting that they're pushing that back a week and only 2 weeks away, well, it would have been theoretically 2 weeks away
Yeah.
now when it got announced. So I don't know, interesting, but it's not a big dent. That's when
No.
you get pushed back a week.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it's this is another one that we're actually really looking forward to, and it just happened to get pushed back. So what are you gonna do?
yeah,
But yeah, no. I mean, it doesn't change my enthusiasm for it. It's not like Black Widow that keeps getting pushed back and back and back
and back.
and back and back.
Yeah,
But yeah, so I mean, that was just a quick bite there. Something to talk about and just let everybody know that it is not coming out when we thought it was. All right. Obi-Wan had a big reveal this week. From Variety, they actually listed the cast, I guess, or I guess this would be the main cast of the show, and it was obviously Ewan McGregor, which I'm totally excited about. Hayden Christensen. I'm excited and terrified all at the same time. We'll get to that. Moses Ingram, Joel Edgerton coming back as Owen, and Bonnie Pisey coming back as Baru. Kumail Nanjiani, not at all excited, even though I love him. India Varma, right? Varda.
yeah, right, yeah.
Rupert Friend, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Han, Simone
I was about
Kessel,
to say, just call him Han. Yeah,
and
that's how I know.
Sung Kang. Simone Kessel, not Kessel Run, just Kessel, and Benny Safdie, something like that. These are kind of this is the main cast, and we only know who Ewan, Hayden, Joel, and Bonnie are playing.
Yeah, it's
so everyone else is building a mystery.
yeah. Oh man, I was about to break out into Sarah McLachlan.
I don't even know why I said building a mystery and why it popped into my head when I said it, but so Moses Ingram is most famous for the Queen's Gambit. She was the friend, I guess in the orphanage. Everybody knows Camille. Indria Varma is Illyria Sand. She was in Torchwood. She's been in a ton of stuff. Rupert Friend, you knew what he was in. I didn't.
Yeah, he was at the big thing. He was in the one of the Hitman reboots from 2015.
Okay.
And he's been in a lot of other stuff too, but he was also in that show Homeland.
Oh, okay. I liked Homeland for the first couple seasons until they killed Adrian Brody's character. Spoilers.
I was about to say spoilers.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. from The Long Shot and Straight Outta Compton and being Ice Cube's kid. I actually like him a lot.
He's in Godzilla too.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was in Godzilla.
Not this one, but
right. So, Sung Kang, who obviously is Han from the Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8. Yeah. Anyway, Simone Kessel is a relative unknown, and so is Benny.
Yeah, like I just said, so is Benny.
So is Benny, just Benny. Yeah. So I mean, I think having Joel and Bonnie coming back as Owen and Baru is a nice touch. It has me excited. Hayden coming back, Kathleen Kennedy said the rematch of the century, and it's like, this story group really doesn't know anything about Star Wars, do they?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so it's funny. I was talking about Kathleen Kennedy. My brother sent me a text about some characters he's heard about that are in Star Wars now, including the High Republic thing with The Rock and stuff like that. And I said, and I said, Star Wars is a joke. Anything, and I told you this just a second ago before we started recording, anything Kathleen Kennedy is directly involved in, I am extremely worried about. because she doesn't know what she's doing. It's not that I don't like what she doesn't know what she's doing. That's obvious. And although Deborah Chow, I mean, I've liked what she's done in the Star Wars universe. I can't remember which episode she directed of The Mandalorian, but I am. I'm not going to even say cautiously optimistic. I'll just say I'm cautious about this show. It has some good points. Again, Ewan McGregor in it. Edgerton and
Yep.
and Bonnie, reprising their roles of Owen and Beru.
Yep.
I like Indira and I like Rupert Friend.
Yeah.
I like the people that I know. There's several people in here I don't know, and Moses, I've only seen her obviously in The Queen's Gambit.
Yeah.
So I'm cautious about this. I'm again, that whole Kathleen Kennedy, the rematch of the century, that keeps sticking in my brain. And again, I honestly believe some of the people at Lucasfilm are actively trying to tear down the foundation of Star Wars to rebuild it in their image, or what they perceive to be the right way to go.
Yeah.
And I really hope Obi-Wan, this series, does not help foster that agenda. If they can make it stay true to that Star Wars canon, I will welcome it. But and again, I don't want to be too, dour. That's why I'm just saying I'm cautious with this, because I don't know where the direction they want to go.
Yep.
Maybe as it starts filming, we'll hear more tidbits about it. But right now, I'm just cautious about it.
Yeah, you're right. Camille scares me the most from the actor pool, just because, like I told you before we started, he's got one character.
Right.
And I like that character. I do. I like it a lot when it's in the right movie. This is not to like. I hope he can show some acting range that we haven't seen from him yet. Because I don't know if this is the right movie for him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't see him being in the Star Wars universe other than something as a droid, and a droid like with the, like Alan Tudyk was in Rogue One.
Yeah, but we've already had that sarcastic.
And I know that's going to the well.
Do you want me to give you another fresh one, droid?
I love that.
My favorite line. That's my favorite line in all of Rogue One.
Line.
I mean, they cut out "This is a rebellion, I rebel." So do you want another fresh one? Has to be the next best line in the movie.
I love that line.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm thinking probably droid, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But to your point, it's like they have to inject that comic droid in every Star Wars.
Everything. Ugh.
Yeah.
My hope. So this show to me, and this just shows how little I'm thinking of their ability to pull anything interesting off at this point, is as long as it doesn't mess with the original trilogy and try to retcon anything, because we're already getting Pando Lando in June, and we have these legacy characters, and we have all these creatively bankrupt people writing books and comics and movies and shows within the Star Wars universe. And they've already shown there's no such thing as a sacred cow.
No.
So anyway, yeah, I think it's something that we can hope for the best. Plan for the worst. Isn't that the old saying there?
Yeah. Something along those lines. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah. I'm just kind of sitting on that fence right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. So sticking with Star Wars for something that does actually look cool. The Bad Batch trailer came out, and it's on YouTube. You should go watch it. I will say I was excited to see that it is not a downvote party for this one. It had 42,000 upvotes on YouTube, and that's what if you guys are following along, like, definitely if they put up a High Republic video, downvote it, because we need to make it known that we're not interested in that garbage. But for stuff like this, 100% give it an upvote, like give it a like, because
As long as you like it, yeah.
well, but I mean, it's just like even if you don't
It's
necessarily like it, like this is the type of like this is where we want to have some stories told until they can get their collective shit together. But the trailer was great. Rex shows up, which is exciting. So everybody automatically assumes we're going to see Ahsoka. But
and you saw.
oh,
Do you
sorry.
also see the shot of Fennec Shan? Too?
Yeah, Fennec is in it a couple times. She's in it two or three times in the trailer. And then the thing to think about here is, Ahsoka and Rex have met since the end of Clone Wars, but like I'm okay if we don't see any actual Jedi in this one. I find the most interesting Star Wars stories happen when they don't have the crutch of the Jedi to prop them up.
Right. Yeah. So the reason I always want to see Jedi is because I always see the cinematic trailers for things like Knights of the Old Republic games or whatever, and they just look amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a different time and era though, as well.
Yeah, and again, that's why I would like Star Wars to expand out. And I mean the TV shows as well. Stop being in this 90 to 100 year little timeline and expand out. But as far as the Bad Batch goes, as far as this trailer goes, this is a lot of fun.
Well, then the High Republic is for you.
You would think, honestly. But again, what you said earlier, creatively bankrupt. That's all I'll say. The Bad Batch, however, again, watching this trailer put me in mind to say, dude, you need to go back and watch the 4 episodes with these guys in it, because
you absolutely should. And while you're at it, watch the Gennady Tartakovsky Clone Wars, which is up now.
Oh, okay. So, and again, this is an example of, like to your point when you were talking about, voting for, this is the type of stuff we want. It shows creativity, and it shows the ability to tell stories, good stories,
yes.
Interesting stories, not stories that
Star
are
Wars
wagging
stories.
their finger at. Yeah, not stories that are wagging their finger at us saying this, you should do this, you should accept this, or whatever.
This looks should really accept a rock can fly a spaceship with no arms, mouth, hands, eyes, legs, feet, or any sort of telekinesis.
Yeah. So I think this weekend I'm gonna go watch those first 4 episodes.
Cool. Yeah, I mean you can knock 7. Them out. They're like, I mean in total actual runtime you're looking at like 21 minutes, so you're looking at just under 2 hours, or just over an hour.
Like a mini, just like a little novella movie type thing. So
it's a very special episode of Boy Meets World. So, all right. So sticking with clones,
and creatively bankrupt.
You shared this one with me, and we are both fans of Eric July, and we actually both appreciate his insistence on calling out tokenism in comics, and I know you disagree with his take on Miles. I disagree to a point.
I do too. To a point.
This is bad. This is just
this,
and so I just want to Saladin Ahmed's Miles Morales Spider-Man run, and longtime Spider-Man fans may recognize it a little. Miles Morales is getting his own clone saga, where he'll have to face his own doppelganger as they terrorize Brooklyn. All the fun starts in Miles Morales Spider-Man number 25. Now, this is where like the creative bankruptcy is just put out for all to see. This new storyline, they should have 100% put new in quotes, promises to mess up Miles' life even more than Peter Parker's clone saga messed up his. Impossible. The young hero's world will be turned upside down when he comes face to face with 3 distinct Miles clones, each expertly designed by Carneo. And it just jumped on me. The result of the assessor's sinister meddling, these clone creations will spread havoc throughout Brooklyn, and Miles is the only hero who can shut them down. get your first look at this all-new trio of deadly doppelgangers in the Miles Morales Clone Saga trailer featuring never-before-seen artwork. Yeah, so like this is not. There's nothing new to this. This is just taking the Peter Parker Clone Saga, um, and putting Miles in the place of Peter.
And you know what it also does, for people like us that like Miles as his own character. And again, it's impossible to say, like, I'm not here to tell you that Miles doesn't have similarities to Peter Parker. I'm just not going to say that. I love Miles as a character, which again, one of the reasons it took me so long to start reading Miles Morales' Spider-Man is because of the whole tokenism thing, and that was before that word was bandied about. But I just saw him as like, oh, so they just reskinned Spider-Man, and then you kept telling me it was a good, it was a good book, and I finally read it, and I was like, okay, I actually really like this book.
So I liked Miles more in the Ultimate Universe than I like him in the 616.
And that's what I read. I read when he was in the Ultimate Universe.
The Spider-Men, where the 616 Peter met with the Ultimate Miles, was an interesting book. Wasn't great, but it was interesting. The thing with Miles is he's an amalgam of a bunch of different versions of Peter and Ben and Kane, right? Just kind of all like mashed together. And that's not Spider-Man 2099 Miguel. So it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, it's the same story.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to say that either because I like Miles. I was not as high on Spider-Verse as most people. Like, we saw that together with our buddy Carlo, or my buddy Carlo, I guess. And Carlo was all about it, and I had a real hard time coming out of there and not being like, what movie did you watch?
I really liked it. I mean,
yeah.
And again,
I liked it. And I've watched it a bunch of times. It's good. It's not the best Spider-Man movie, but it's good.
No, I thoroughly enjoy. The problem with me was the animation at first, and then like that last act was a little bit, but this, like for people who really like this character and really like and like you said, he is a combination of like several different characters in ways. But when you do something like this, you show your inability to take this character, he's an original character, but he's tokenized,
right,
into his own direction. You're feeding off the past stories that have already been set for you and just taking stuff away instead of sitting down and saying, okay, what is something that we can do that will be very interesting?
Right.
Not something that's already done. And this is the problem with so many comics, or no, let me take that back. This is the problem with the creative space nowadays, whether it be comics, whether it be movies, TV shows, cartoons, except unless you're talking about anime and manga, which they are always very creative.
Well, and they come out with new stuff like every year.
Yes.
Like I'm almost to the point where it's like maybe I was wrong about manga and I need to dip my toe back in.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to happen, but I'm thinking maybe, but I'm not. I'm never going to. But no, I mean, like, this is the reason my poll list has been greatly reduced. I don't get any of the Green Lantern books anymore. I don't get any of the Fantastic Four books anymore. I don't even get Spider-Man anymore. I get Nightwing, which we'll talk about here in a second. I get Batman, but not Detective anymore. And I pick and choose the X books instead of getting all the X books, and I pick and choose the Star Wars books instead of getting all the Star Wars books. And then, like, I'll grab, like, things from, like, Boom and Dynamite, like Dune and The Expanse and some other things here and there.
Yeah, I'm just so tired of this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just so tired. And again, we talk about, we always talk about Hollywood a lot, and obviously we just talked about Lucasfilm, but Hollywood in general is like, oh, there's another remake, there's another reboot, there's another reimagining, and take your pick of one of those words. That's what this is.
Okay, so I just thought of something. Who owns Marvel and in Star Wars
Oh, Disney.
now. Okay, what is Disney's
Ugh,
go-to? They
right now,
reimagine story. No. They since other than Mickey Mouse, right? Mickey Mouse is the only new thing they've ever done. Snow White was already a story. Sleeping Beauty was already a story. The Little Mermaid was already a story. You know, the only new one is The Princess and the Frog, Moana. Those are new stories. Those aren't based off of anything. Those are both very good movies. Frozen is just a version of the X-Men. You know, you look at what Disney has done, and they're not like Peter Pan was already a thing. Winnie the Pooh was already a thing. They just take and they reimagine this stuff, and they slap that stupid fucking castle on there, and they're like, hey, look at us, we're a bastion of creativity. And then they've taken these companies, which, Pixar was insanely creative. They invented all sorts of new technology, and the Pixar movies get worse every time they come out. Lucasfilm, you can see the effect they've had on Lucasfilm. The Force Awakens, when everybody was giving Star Wars a tremendous amount of goodwill, and it's easily the best of the sequel trilogy. Is one of the highest grossing films of all time. The following two lost $1 billion. Actually $2 billion, because neither one of them were able to match the Force Awakens. Rogue One is probably the best standalone movie they've done because they didn't reimagine anything. But yeah, and then you look at Marvel, and it's just like all they do is they gender swap, they race swap, they do just all of this stuff to existing characters and IP, and it's not working at all. I was thinking today, we're never ever gonna get the original Guardians of the Galaxy or the Winter Soldier ever again. Those two movies came out the same year. That was the peak year for Marvel. It has all been downhill creatively since then.
Yeah, they changed the MCU, because again, I even then I remember when we were going to see the Winter Soldier and being blown away what I just saw.
Oh yeah,
because and again, it's one I tell people, I was like, that's a movie you can take out the superhero part, and it's still an excellent movie.
Well, the Winter Soldier is a spy villain.
Yes.
Right? He's got the mechanical arm. Never mind the super soldier serum. I said that right. Darryl, words are easy today. Woo!
High five.
Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy, we never even the second version of Guardians was not as good as the first version.
No, yeah, absolutely.
And it's not like that was a bad one. And I'm not saying the Marvel movies are bad, but ever since Captain Marvel came out, it's been a downward trajectory.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they've replaced storytelling, and this is on Kevin Feige, with agenda.
Yeah. Oh, and absolutely, Kevin Feige has done a lot for he is the driving force, him and Favreau, for why the MCU started. But he is not without blame for what we're seeing coming. Mm-hmm. And again, we haven't seen it yet. Yes, we have with Captain Marvel and certain snippets of Endgame and things like that. And again, based on what we have coming, I'm not excited for what the MCU is going to bring us.
Right.
And I know a lot of times people say it's superhero fatigue. No, not for me. I can watch a good superhero flick all day long. Yeah. I don't care. But
they have to
these
be good.
don't look like.
They have to be good.
And these don't look like quality.
No.
And again,
no. Here's the thing: they look like quality. They don't feel like quality. They don't sound like quality. They're not written like quality.
Yeah.
You can't take away the production value of these movies and TV shows. It is second to none. I still say WandaVision is the most creative thing Marvel's ever done. But here's the thing: I feel like we're outliers. Everyone I talk to, and it's not like I'm talking to everybody on the planet, but the people I talk to did not like it outside of you and I and my wife. And it's funny because I was always defending it.
And it's funny because my friends and my tech, all of them that watched it really, really enjoyed it, loved it. So I don't know. Yeah, and to your point, and I think the first couple episodes were such an outlier in the sense of unexpected
Mm-hmm.
it probably turned some people off. And regardless of if they watched the rest of it, that might have colored their I say colored and it was in black and white, but might have colored their opinion for the rest of the show. But you are
Yeah.
100% correct when you say it's the most creative thing they've done in the MCU.
Mm-hmm. It's the
So
most
it
out
is.
of the box thing they've ever done, and
Yes,
I felt like it worked.
I thought it worked great.
It actually made me kind of want to go watch Age of Ultron. I mean, it's never going to happen, but it made me kind of want to watch Age of Ultron. But yeah, but to tie this back into the whole Miles clone ripoff, um, it like the Marvel comics have gotten so bad. Like the Children of the Atom from a couple weeks ago that came out, and it's literally gender and race bent versions of the original X-Men for the most part, with Nightcrawler included and no Iceman. So yeah, it's like, come on, like she could have done this, and what's her name? It just faded from memory. You know who I'm talking about, the writer.
The writer for
Children of the Atom.
I think I struck that from my memory, like everything about that.
Hold on. I gotta make sure it's not the arcade game.
I remember that game.
So it was. That's not helping me. Oh, here, we'll go to Marvel.com and look. Anyway, so while I'm looking this up, but like, where did it go? Oh, Vida Alia, or Vida Alia, right? Alia, AY, Alia, whatever. So Vida, like, she was talking about how, like, she does all of this for the LGBTQ plus agenda because she's an LGBTQ plus writer, and she definitely self-inserted herself as Gambit, or the tokenized knockoff Gambit. But like, we were talking about this earlier this week, like X-Men has always been massively diverse, not just on the page but behind the page, and she needs to aim higher. She needs to be like, I'm going to write the greatest standalone story that anyone, or whatever, the greatest story arc that anyone's ever written about X-Men. That's going to be my legacy, not I'm going to push an agenda.
Right.
And like, I picked it up because I'm a sucker for X-Men, and I read the first half of it, and I just had to put it down. The minute I read Cyclops last, I was like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not getting any more. I actually, just like, it's like, are you kidding? Like, this is what you're putting out? Yeah, no. And then she was talking about how, like, it needed a perspective of the kids, and it's like, well, they started as kids. Know your canon. And then she's like, well, it's from the Gen Z perspective. Does anyone need the Gen Z perspective? Do we really need?
No.
Do we need an X-Man to be a TikToker?
Yeah.
A Fitstagrammer?
By the way, yeah. How many of those people were buying comics?
0. Oh, no. Let me rephrase that. That's an absolute, and I'm not a Sith. Maybe 2% of overall sales of a $4.99 book are from people in the demographic that she's going for.
And again, when too many of these writers and creators nowadays, like you said, are so focused on the agenda, they're not thinking, what is our audience? Who is our audience? Who is our audience?
So Haley loves comics, right? And
raised her right.
There are some modern comics that she likes, but for the most part, she likes reading the older stuff. She likes Grant Morrison. And like, while they were in Disney World, I went to the comic book store and I brought her home Death of the New Gods. That's required reading. Like, and she, like, that's the kind of stuff she likes. And so letting her go back through my back catalog of books and trades, like, there's nothing for her to read now that she would find interesting. She's not interested in being preached at. She doesn't care about, she's just a good person and a good, she's the best person I know. And that's not, it doesn't drive her. She's like, she can see herself in lots of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the key, right? Like, I can see
100%.
myself in early Jean Grey. I can see myself in Peter Parker. I can see myself in Bishop. In like, I can see myself in Forge. I was a tinkerer, I mean, I wasn't like a
Yeah.
massive inventor like him, but I was like, what is Forge going to make this week?
And that's and that is such a great point, Brian, because that was when I hear people with some of these people talking about, we want to make characters that kids can, see themselves in. They are specifically talking from a racial standpoint or a sex standpoint. It's not who the character is. And I've always, we've joked over the last, when I said I identified, I could identify with Captain America, and you were joking, like, can you really do that? But you're identifying with who that character is,
right,
in their core selves.
Yeah, I mean, like,
not the color of their skin.
You example as a American black man, you identify with all sorts of characters who are not black, who are not male, who are not you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
a great
I was just gonna share an anecdote. Like, one of the first characters we kind of bonded over was Buffy Summers, because you love Buffy. And you had the Buffy doll on your desk.
Action figure.
It's a girl.
We've been doing this for what, 15 years or something? Like, tall action
since
figure.
2004? No, 6. But yeah, I mean, it's like, but no, you identified things about yourself in Buffy. You were, you come from a long line of vampire slayers. You have dreams. You trained with a librarian and learned martial arts.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you're just not a blonde bimbo. That's it.
And I'm not like 5'2". So. Relative. But yeah, it's and again, what the example I was going to give was Alita. That was another character that I absolutely identified with. And again, I'm not a souped up cyborg, female cyborg from 500 years in the future or anything like that. But I identified with her as a. Yeah, that's true. Although if I can get some cyborg parts, hey, just as long as it doesn't look like Justice League cyborg.
I've told you, if I could replace the entire left half of my body, like, I'd get it done today.
Yeah, I would. Hell, just give me a vibranium arm and I'm good.
Okay, Bucky. Actually, I'm gonna call you Ducky now.
Maybe a shot of that super soldier serum as well.
Oh, that'd be great. I imagine that'd be a good, like, heals what ails you.
Yeah. But that's another example with Bucky. There are things about him that I identify with, and I'm not a mind wiped assassin or anything. It's about it's about the character, and there's almost every character. If the character is done right, almost everyone has something. And again, not just like a one-shot character, but a character you can grow with over the years that they explore stuff with. There's at least one thing,
like Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde was the character for every single person who read X-Men as their gateway to the X-Men. Kitty Pryde is legitimately one of the greatest characters in comic books. Regardless of what they do to her, we always have the Claremont run. But yeah, all right. So we went off on a huge tangent here. Let's hop over to Nightwing.
And something positive about comics.
Definitely. So I read this, and I don't remember if I called you or texted you.
You called me. You were like, dude, you need to read this.
Okay. So Nightwing, it's this is my favorite comic book character of all time, Dick Grayson. I don't care if he's Nightwing, Robin, the Target, Grayson, whatever it is. He's my favorite. And Renegade. But like, the summary for this book starts, Nightwing is back. And I read that and I was like, are you kidding? Like, another Nightwing is back. And I read the book, and when I wiped the tears away from my eyes, um, I was like, holy shit, Nightwing is back. So this is Tom Taylor wrote the book. Bruno Redondo did the amazing artwork.
Yeah, great artwork.
And so this is Dick going back to Blüdhaven. You know, he's got villains again. He's got Blockbuster back. Blockbuster is his greatest foe. He has a new villain in Tony Zucco's daughter. He's got a 3-legged dog, which I don't remember. Did he name it? I don't think he did. If he doesn't name it Champion, I'm going to be really upset. Like Andy and April's dog in Parks and Rec, their 3-legged dog champion. But he's still like he is a hero through and through. And 3 things about this book, and then I'll let you get to it. 1, he saves a 3-legged dog from a bunch of punk asses who are going to hurt him. 2, he reestablishes himself within Blüdhaven. And 3, Barbara showed up as Oracle to be the executor of Alfred's will. And this was the closure that he never got, because when Alfred was killed by Bane, he was Rick Grayson. He had been shot in the head by KG Beast. He was having amnesia. He did not remember being Dick. Richard. And that the 2 pages of Alfred's letter, like, I was like, the only time I've ever gotten like choked up from modern comics before this was when Wally West came back and nobody remembered him, and he finally caught up with Barry, and Barry pulled him back from the Speed Force as he was about to give up and just disappear, and he told him, I will always remember you. There's no universe where I ever forgot you. And Tom Taylor, Alfred's letter to Dick about, you know, I'm so proud of you. You're the son I wanted. I have all of this money, and I know you're the one person on the planet who will do good with it. And think about that for a second. Dick Grayson is the one he trusts with his legacy, not Bruce Wayne.
So, obviously, I don't have the history of Nightwing that you do. Yeah, I've read stuff here and there, and you know, with DC and Nightwing and Batman and all this stuff. But just coming in with as someone who, as basically a normie, an outsider to this story and what's going on. First of all, to your point of reestablishing himself, it does such a good job of someone who's just picked this up, and I don't know the history of, you know, what you were just talking about, him
Right.
getting shot, Alfred getting murdered. I mean, I knew that happened before reading the book, just by, you know, bits and pieces on the interwebs, but I didn't experience it. I haven't experienced this character like you have over the years. But even with me reading that letter, it was, the book was written so well, and that letter was written so well, that as someone who, again, doesn't have this history with these 2 characters, it still put a lump in my throat. And again, one of the funniest things is, he did create one of the biggest monsters in those punks that were trying to chase the dog. And I just I just love the openness of this book. And what I mean by that is just it's telling a story. There's nothing agenda driven about it. It's what comic books is, what books, it's what movies and TV shows should be, whether they're based on a true story or not. It's about telling the best story possible.
Right.
And you know, we harp on this all the time, and this is all we want, are telling the best story possible. And what comes of that, you know, and whatever you work in, it should be in service to the story and the story alone.
And
That's what this book does.
Yeah.
And that's what this, and again, it's one of those, I've read books where I'm like, okay, it's okay, and I don't pick it up again. Like one of the few books that I've loved over in the last year and a half are the Super Sons. I
Hmm.
love those books. And this my foray into this Nightwing makes me want to pick up. Yeah, I'm going to start reading this now just
So
because of
yeah.
what we got from this.
So this type of issue is something that comics has not done well lately. This is a jumping on point. So when you have
Right.
80 years of canon as a character, you can't just pick up, a Nightwing book or a Robin book or a Batman book and know who Dick Grayson is. Every
Right.
once in a while, when it comes time to a new arc or a new direction for the character, you have this jumping on point where they had the background. They had him as a kid at Gotham Academy, um, meeting Barbara for the first time, meeting then Detective Gordon for the first time. And taking on some bullies who, he was not a fully realized Robin yet. Um, but at the same time, he definitely he stood up for the kid who was getting picked on. He stood up for Barbara. Barbara stood up for him, and that was the beginning of a bond. And that told you in the not even 3 pages, 2 full pages of that part of the story that told you everything you needed to know about who he was and what the relationship with this girl was gonna be. Um, and then when you see him in Blüdhaven, you realize he is a hero through and through.
Absolutely.
And then when you when he goes through the letter and Alfred is telling him about how proud he is and how he's the greatest person that Alfred has ever known, um and he has more of a capacity to care than anyone that Alfred has ever known. It humanizes him.
Yeah.
And so with what happens then with Blockbuster murdering the mayor and putting Tony Zucco's daughter on the throne, it makes it that much more terrifying because here now you care about this character in it's a 32-page book. In 24 pages you're in love with this character already.
Right.
And then in 8 pages you're like, holy shit, no, this is a good person. You can't do this to him. You can't let Blockbuster crush his skull like he did the mayor. Um, you know?
Yeah. And so I'm really excited because again, this just shows that there are people out there that can create engaging stories and for the stories themselves and y- just make these characters that this character has been around forever, and for people like me that had very little experience with him, I want to come back for more.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tom Taylor is, I mean, he's about our age. He's a year younger than us. But he's Australian born. He wrote for Injustice Gods Among Us. He wrote DCeased. He wrote All New Wolverine with Laura. Um, he wrote X-Men Red. So he's actually done really good work in a not a super long career, but I mean he's been at it for a while and he's he's got what it takes.
Yeah. Yeah. He got me at the dog saving.
He had you with the dog saving. Got it. All right, so let's move on to Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I'm still very ambivalent about this episode. I'm just not sure where I stand with it.
Yeah, what did I text you? I texted you something when it came out, when I finished watching it. I texted. I said I can't tell if I liked the Falcon and the Winter Soldier this week.
Yeah.
There's parts that were really really good. Obviously we know Baron Zemo's going to be in the episode because of how last week ended, and Daniel Bruhl, I think that's how you say it, was great. We had 2 big surprise characters return, which we'll talk more about in the commentary. Both old familiar faces. One I was super excited to see because it's Sharon Carter, because she's in the credits. The other, which I'm not going to spoil, was
a big
a
surprise.
complete surprise. But there's some dialogue in there early on where it's like, oh, I was wondering if someone of this ilk was going to show up. But yeah, it's I liked Bucky's orchestration of the escape, the prison break. They threw in some deep cuts for I guess it'd be a deep cut for a normie, but some fan service for the longtime Marvel readers with Mandrapore. That was cool. And the scientist who's been working on the the super soldier formula for the power broker had a great line where he was talking about how he had cracked it and then he disappeared and turned to dust for 5 years. I thought that was great. I thought that was just a great use of the snapping. But yeah, it was. I don't hate this. I don't even dislike this series. I just think after I wish this was starting in June instead of starting when it started. That they would have put something in between this and WandaVision, because WandaVision was so different from everything else in the MCU. This almost feels like standard fare.
Yeah, and so when the first scene in the first episode, I thought, okay, this is what I wanted, because WandaVision was so creative and so different that I almost felt like I wanted a back to basics type show.
Yeah.
But and again, I don't get me wrong, I like what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I like it, and unfortunately for this episode, the thing that I thought would be my favorite part about the series, which is the chemistry between Sam and Bucky, is the one thing that really started to grate on me in this episode. There were some really good things and again, some good action, scenes with Sharon Carter, with Bucky, as the Winter Soldier. Zemo, I thought, was great.
Yeah.
Daniel Bruhl.
Well, I told you I thought the banter between Bucky and Zemo was better than the banter between Bucky and Sam. I think there's a scene where like Sam doesn't have his phone on silent.
Which really,
and his sister calls, and it's not like, I'll call you back. It's like, dude, you just hang up on her, be like, oh, she must have hung up, and break your phone.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, and again, one of the other things, and we've talked about this, is Carly, just as the leader of the Flag Smashers, is just, every time I see her in that role, and again, it's, if she was another character, or it would be fine.
Yeah.
But as the leader of these super soldiers that are, yes, they're doing the helping other people out, and then something happens in this episode where it seems to go totally against what we've seen of her so far, and it really just kind of disturbed me. Not necessarily it's just in a way like, okay, you've written her this way and she acts this way, and then this happens, and it just really threw me off. So, and again, I think as another character she would be fine, but for the character she's playing,
she's not a strong enough actress for the role that they have her in. She's
not.
Like, she was fine in Solo because she was in a mask most of the time, and like, so she was treated kind of like Jaws. We heard more about her than we saw. And here, she looks so sad. And I don't know if she just has resting sad face. but she looks like she's gonna break into tears at just any moment.
Every
Like,
time. Yes.
and it's that, like, she's a very earnest looking person, and I'm not like, I think she's very pretty, um, and I think she's good in other roles. I think
Yeah.
this was a role that they decided, like, hey, we're gonna make this male character a female, and we're gonna go ahead and roll the dice, and I think you know it did not pay off. I think if they had
No.
made her a new character and not called her Flag Smasher, and like, like they refer to her as Robin Hood from time to time,
Mhm.
like, and maybe if she was like a more Robin Hood-esque character who was new for uh the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, uh
Yeah.
that would be
That would have been
better.
fine.
So,
Yeah.
but again, like, this is that thing that Marvel, uh in this instance, goes back to the creative bankruptcy, and they're trying to dip into the Winter Soldier well, which is almost a nostalgia play at this point from 2009. I mean, it's over 10 years old, and it's not necessarily working. Yeah, there's just something, like you said, like, there's something that I can't put my finger on that's making me, like, not love this show.
Yeah. Right. And I remember with WandaVision, for example, I'm a huge fan of watching certain reactors. I would watch, I don't know how, and again, I would watch, I'd watch the show twice and maybe watch one reaction, and then we would do the show, and then the next day I would watch like all these other people's
You
reactions.
watch the rest of the reactions. So,
Yes.
see,
So with
I don't watch anything about. I haven't watched anything about it. I've actually only watched it the one time so far today.
Yeah,
And we'll
same here.
obviously watch it again because it's not something that I want to watch 3 times in one day.
And that's what my point was with this show. I've watched like just overall, there's like 7 or 8 reactors I usually watch. I'll watch maybe one or
Okay.
two
Yeah.
of them
All right.
because I just
Yeah.
I'm not interested in this
Yeah.
as
Okay.
much.
We'll get more into it in the commentary, but so out of 5 miscast Flag Smashers, what do you give it?
I give it a 3.
A 3. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I mean, it's entertaining, but it's not catching me like I want it to.
Yeah, I think because it got off on a weird foot. Like, it was good from the first bit of the scene, and then they killed the entire momentum of the first episode with Sam's family.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yep.
Sam has a job. He is a military contractor. I'm sure he's making some serious coin, or if not, he should be. And yeah. So I don't know. I was just glad to see Sharon back this week. Emily Van Camp is one. She seems ageless. She like
she looks the same as she did in Everwood
or Revenge. Did you watch Revenge?
No, I never watched that.
Dude, okay, it was on ABC. The first 2 seasons of Revenge are legit awesome. Then it kind of falls off the rails. But then it kind of brings it back at the end. But she was great in that show. And that was what I knew her from because I didn't really watch Everwood. But yeah, like, I love her as Sharon Carter. Like, I want an Agent 13 series.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that deals with her time during the Snappening when she became essentially a supervillain.
Yeah, I really like her as an actress, and I like the character. I've wanted more of this character, so I'm glad that we finally get to see her.
Finally.
Halfway through. Well, not quite half. Well, we're halfway there now. We're at the halfway mark now, but I really hope we have a lot more left of her for this season.
Yep. All right. So, speaking of a lot more left, Kong versus Godzilla. Or Godzilla versus Kong. Okay, so Angel had to wake me up 3 times, and we were watching this in the middle of the day on Wednesday.
I fell asleep for like 5 or 10 minutes in the first 30 minutes.
It is. There are entirely too many humans. I feel like Michael Bay probably should have directed this movie because he would have given us what we wanted. And I told you, no matter how bad this movie is, we still have that first trailer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've seen a lot of people like Kong versus Godzilla versus Kong was great. I'm like, what movie did you watch?
Now, I will say the action was great.
What little of it there was, absolutely.
I was about to say the issue was that there was a whole sub side quest, pardon me, that should have been just stricken from the movie.
Yeah. Oh
like
yeah.
The one
the
with
whole Kong
11.
Arthur in Excalibur was a little much. Yeah. Everything with 11 in the Hunt for Wilder People and Paperboy from Atlanta was just that should not have been in the movie at all. Like he's not making a mixtape about this for Earn to get airplay on. So yeah,
those 3 characters were absolutely pointless to be in this movie.
I really like Brian Tyree Henry, and yeah, he was really bad in this. He was really bad, and he did an interview where he talked about how he looked at his character as like Brienne of Tarth, protecting 11 and Wilder People. So was it Josh and Maddie?
I just remember him from Deadpool.
Yeah, he was the shithead in Deadpool who brought on the apocalypse. Yeah, so I went back to watch Godzilla King of Monsters, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this one. And then I started watching. It's like, oh no, I have seen this one. I deleted it from the memory bank because it was that bad.
Oh, fun fact.
Yeah,
I went to see King of Monsters in the theaters, and fun fact, yes, I fell asleep on that one too.
Yeah. Again, too many humans. One of the other issues I had is Godzilla was just so darn cute. When he was making his angry face, it's like it just want to punch his cheeks. Just want to be like, look at you, you big cat, got a monster, you big. No, but Rebecca Hall, who I also normally love, was insufferable in this movie.
Kong bows to no one.
He bows to no one. And then Kaylee Hoddle as Gaia. Gaia. Is that what it was? Jia.
I think that's.
Anyway, yeah. Do we need did we need the little girl signing to the big monkey?
No, it's. And again, this is one of those. This is another example in these movies that the writers and the creators, they often overthink things. You want to see how a monster movie is made, or a kaiju movie or whatever. Look at Pacific Rim, the first one.
Yeah, like Guillermo should have directed this. And
granted, yes, there was stuff in there that the whole thing with what's his name, Charlie
Hunnam.
I was about to say no, not Charlie Hunnam, but
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day and Gorm Burnham.
Gorm.
Yeah, I like their chemistry, but some of that was a little unnecessary. But overall, I'm just saying, from an overall standpoint, it gave us a lot of freaking monster fighting big giant robots.
So yes, so I'm gonna say when it comes to all of these Kong and Godzilla movies that we've gotten between Godzilla, Kong Skull Island, Godzilla Queen of Monsters, and Kong versus Godzilla versus My Pillow, Kong Skull Island is the best.
Yeah, that's actually I would say that's actually a good movie, a decent movie.
Even though Brie Larson is in that movie, I really like that movie because she really tried in that movie.
Yeah,
it's like okay, she wasn't like denigrating me, telling me that because I'm a 40-year-old white man, I can't like what she's doing. It's like, well, if you say that, I'm probably not gonna like it then. Like going back to comics, you have certain female writers who are like, if you don't like my politics, don't read my book. Great. You just saved me $5.
Yeah, I won't.
Like, I'm actually kind of glad, like, the High Republic people put all their politics out there because, like, you know how much money you saved me and how many Audible credits you saved me that I don't have to listen to this crap. You know, I will say this. The CG in this movie is freaking awesome.
Yes.
Kong's hair, for example, his fur looks real. It
Yeah.
looks real. There's nothing like when they're fighting in Tokyo or wherever. It was Tokyo, right?
Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, thank you. You know, that is amazing. Like when he dislocates his shoulder, you can see it. Like they did a fantastic job with all of that. Even Mecha Streisand looked good. But there was nothing to care about in this movie.
No, there wasn't.
Like
And
again,
that's
like 50% less people and 25% more monster fighting, and it's about the right runtime at that point.
yeah.
Because I mean it's almost 2 hours long, and this
Which is funny. It's like the shortest of the ones, I believe.
But it felt like the Snyder cut.
Yeah, I kept, because I said, oh, it's only like before I started it, I said, oh,
Yeah.
it's not even 2 hours. This will be a quick one, and
Nope.
it didn't. It felt long until the climax of the movie, the fight,
Yeah.
and then that was over too quickly for me, and I'm like, I want more of that. I wanted more of that the whole movie.
Well, the subtitle for this episode goes along to this and says, "You had one job, Warner Brothers, one job."
Yeah.
And it was not to screw up Godzilla versus Kong. And I feel like they did. It's just not.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I said this earlier. When you're writing something, know your audience. What do they want from this? And again, this is not one of those things where you need to put a lot of meaning into it, or it's as simple as a story as you can get.
Right.
It's a monster and a gorilla fighting, a giant monster and a giant gorilla fighting,
and then a mecha version of Barbara Streisand fighting later against both of them, using Excalibur from the middle of the earth, powered by Godzilla's barf.
One job.
I fucking hate this shit. I just want it to be good. Is that too much to ask?
Yeah. Every time I think of that, I think of when I say that, I think of Ragnarok when Loki told that to Kurg. It's like, you had one job.
Yeah, right. Did you ever watch South Park? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say Mecha Streisand?
No, that's
so in the first season, Barbara Streisand comes to South Park, and she turns into this big mecha kaiju, and then Robert Smith from The Cure turns into a mecha or a big monster version of himself, and they fight. And there's an Asian man like singing "Bob Hoorah, Bob Hoorah," and as they're fighting, and it's freaking awesome. But yeah, just Mecha Streisand is what I always refer to as Mecha Godzilla now, or refer Mecha Godzilla as. But he looked awful. I will say I liked how they got to him. You know.
Yeah.
I like where Mecha Godzilla came from. Again though, we needed about 50% less of the billionaire industrialist and his daughter from oh shit, what was she in?
Crap. Yeah, it's Elisa Gonzalez.
Yeah. So Baby Driver.
Yeah.
She was Darlin in Baby Driver. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I think if I had to score this one out of 10 ripped in half lost world flying bat things that are trying to strangle me, out of 10 I probably go 5.5.
I would give it a 6.
Okay.
And it's only because that end fights are so rewatchable.
Yeah, I mean that's
But
why I
yeah,
gave it a 5.5
yeah,
out of
that
4.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I would have probably given it a 5
So
if without that.
yeah,
So
I like the fights were great. There just weren't enough of them.
and it's funny because this is one of those movies where you know what I'm gonna rewatch. I'm gonna go on YouTube and I'm gonna go when they have cuts of just the fight scenes, and that's what I'll watch
I'll see. I'll just
when
fast
I'm in the
forward
know.
through the movie on HBO Max while it's there.
Yeah,
I will not buy this.
no,
I was gonna watch it again this afternoon, and I decided to torture myself with Invincible. Um, and then after that, I just decided to keep watching Billions, which I finished season 2.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, it's just, you know, I. The thing is we were excited for this. Like we were both really
yes,
excited for this, and you know, I remember I texted you on like Wednesday morning or whatever, because I had checked at midnight on Tuesday night going into Wednesday morning to see if it was up yet. I was like, "Is it up?" And you're like, "No," and you thought I was talking about Invincible.
yeah,
So it's like you totally forgot about it.
yeah. I really did, and
But now here's the thing, though: is I hope people do watch it, and I hope people do enjoy it. I
oh,
really do.
absolutely,
Just like the Snyder Cut, I hope whoever out there enjoys it, and I hope that they can understand why I didn't.
because you're a monster.
Well, yes, I am a monster.
Well, yes, that's neither here nor there, though.
That is what is known collectively as a given. Um, but yeah, so you know, I thought one Coach Taylor had no business being in this movie.
Was he in it for what, like 5 minutes of run screen time?
Oh, that's giving him a lot of credit.
If that,
I was gonna say 2, maybe. Um, you know, Alexander Sarsgaard is the top billed actor, and I feel like it should have been Kaylee Hoddle, the little deaf signing girl, or maybe Rebecca Hall. I feel like Rebecca Hall had the majority of the dialogue.
yeah, Skarsgård just looked like fascinated or interested or
He looked like a
focused. That's
weenie, like an L7 weenie, like a big square.
yeah. It's and again, I thoroughly enjoyed the action of it. I
Hmm.
just and again, if people can watch this and you know and get through it and enjoy it, hey. And again, because I've seen a couple reviews of people that really enjoyed it, and good for them. This is,
Yeah,
I'm not going to say this is a horrible movie. This is not like The Happening or anything like that. This actually has redeeming values, redeeming qualities to the movie. So I would say, hey, if you're a fan of monster movies, absolutely take a look, take a gander, and you might like it more than we did. And that's
yeah,
great.
and good. Hopefully you did. No,
Yeah.
I hope you do enjoy it, and you know I'm just mad. I'm not mad. I'm just sad that like not I'm not getting what I'm looking for out of
Yeah.
some of this stuff lately, and it's not like I'm asking for much.
Yeah.
um, you know, like with this one, it's like I just wanted to see a giant lizard and a giant monkey throw down.
Yeah.
Um,
And we got some of that, but just not enough.
yeah, and we
Just not
got a
enough.
magical axe from the middle of the earth powered by Godzilla's barf.
His atomic breath,
Uh, well, you know,
which
I feel like
is probably his
I feel like
acid reflux.
yeah, I mean, Axe Caliber is, I think, a great way to describe that because he pulled it out
Yeah,
of
I
a
love that.
stone.
Yeah,
Um,
I love
Kong
Excalibur.
Arthur. So, you know, I'm a sucker for the Arthurian legend and tales. So, you know, you'd think like, you know, the fact that he essentially goes on that journey,
The once and future Kong.
the Once and Future Kong. Uh, got to be careful saying that one. Don't want to replace that K with a D. Um, but I will say I did like Kong's ending. Um, and I'll be honest, I forgot what happened to Godzilla at the end of the movie.
He does what he does all the time. He just strolls off into the water
Yeah.
as the sun is setting or rising, one of the two.
As
Usually the sun is rising.
as the sun is somewhere near the horizon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I love the design of both, but I love the design of Godzilla in this. Other than his
Yeah.
like cute pinchable cheeks on his little squishy face, just love. Um, but
So my favorite,
he has a great facial expressions.
yeah, yeah, and it was funny that like one of the videos said, they could relate more to Kong because of his facial expressions. And I was like, I actually could relate to Godzilla's facial expression fine.
I feel like Godzilla and I had the same facial expression the whole movie, just mild annoyance.
Yeah, that's what I said. From being
Yeah.
angry
He's
to
like,
annoyed,
he's like,
it's just like get off my lawn type face.
Well, he had like the scrunched up like I'm doing this and I'm by myself in the studio. The scrunched up nose and his eyes were kind of squinted, and then he like had like a pout on his face. Like, he kind of looked like Carl from Up, but without the Captain America mask on. Anyway, all right. That's enough of that nonsense. Anyway, no, like here's the thing. It looks amazing. I everybody who made this obviously worked very hard on it. Adam Wingard directed this. I think he did a fine job directing like the CG and stuff. I just think they saddled him with far too many people.
Yeah. There's definitely could have been some stuff on the chopping block.
Yeah, and I definitely missed Ken Watanabe. Let them fight. Did you ever watch the How It Should Have Ended?
Yeah, it's been a while.
And he's like, let them fight. and they're like, what? He's like, let them fight. And they're like, you just want to watch two monsters fight. Let them fight. and then in the second one where he dies, or at the end when he dies, and he's like, let me die. And they're like, you just want to die to get out of this movie. Let me die. I will say, so he directed, Adam Wingard directed Death Note, which is not right, but I'm going to redeem him here. He directed The Guest.
I've never seen that. I think that's with what's his name? Dan.
That's Matthew Crawley from Downtown Abbey.
Yeah.
Dan Stevens.
Okay.
Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens.
Oh my God.
See,
that like The Guest is like, it is a super underrated movie. It is like the Brian Kendrick of movies. He's a wrestler who's super underrated, who just retired. But anyway, he like, no, it is like, it's like the Bourne Identity meets The Hitcher.
Interesting combination
there. Yeah, and I am a huge fan of that. I bought that like almost the minute it was able to be purchased on iTunes forever ago, and I watched that movie regularly.
I'll have to check that out.
So.
But like, and in his defense in Death Note, as terrible as it was, it definitely wasn't as good as the anime. But I wasn't a big fan of the anime either. I stopped watching that like halfway through.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, he does a service. I do sort of wish I was able to watch the fights on the big screen. I think those would have been amazing.
So here's my thought: is we could go see this on the big screen, and when they aren't fighting, that's where you go to the bathroom. That's where you go get a snack. That's like, you just kind of
play
hang
Sudoku
out.
on
Yeah,
my phone.
you like words with friends. We can play Words with Friends against each other. But yeah, this is the fights would look great, like especially in IMAX. And I tell you what, on like the 4K, beautiful. And then Alexander Skarsgård comes on. He's like, I'm afraid of the monkey. I mean, that was like his dialogue the whole time. He screamed a lot. He looked, like you said, like he was wondering about things a lot. Rebecca Hall was condescending a lot. Her Dr. Eileen Andrews. That sounds like a Bond girl name. Eileen Andrews. Dr. Eileen Andrews. So
Yeah, it's so.
it was just bad. Yeah, they tracked Bernie down because he likes bleach. It was just like there were so many coincidences in this. It made the Goonies look downright like non-coincidental.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, like I don't want to keep
Yeah. All right.
hitting this
Cool.
movie, but yeah.
On that note, thank you all for listening. Thanks to Matt and Jess for backing us on Patreon. Thank you, Jess, for the mug and the tumbler glass.
Yeah, I've been drinking out of mine too.
The
Thanks, babe.
The tumbler did well at Wing Night. So everybody else had to drink out of plastic cups. But yeah, no, if you guys want to join the peasants, yeah, the plebs, however you say it. I thought it was plebes, and everybody's been saying pleb. But anyway, yeah, if you want to join Jess and Matt on Patreon to get the commentary episode and stickers and shirts and even a chance to tell us what we're gonna do a podcast on, go to patreon.com/infamouspodcast. And while you're at it, go over to infamouspodcast.com/comicsology, or go to the show notes and just click on the comicsology link in this show note on the website. And you can get 30 days free to Comicsology Unlimited and read all 10 volumes of Invincible. And forget about
do it.
Yeah, I mean, and you can read Nightwing and Batman,
Super Sons,
and
a host of others.
The Return of Wally West. Let's see, Infinite Crisis,
Death of the New Gods,
Death of the New Gods, Tower of Babel, the greatest JLA storyline. But yeah, Hush. Yeah, there's lots of cool shit.
Court of Owls.
Lock and Key.
Oh yeah, season 3 or 2.
What else? The Cape, not the shitty Cape TV show, but a much cooler version of Cape from Joe Hill. Yeah, so much cool stuff. Anyway, thank you all for listening. If you have made it this far in the episode, do me a favor and email me Gangsta Mario in the subject line and your address, and I'll mail you something cool. All right. On that note, we will talk to y'all next week. And if you listen to the commentary for The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I hope you enjoyed it. Later.
See ya.
The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. You can find new episodes every Sunday on Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, our website, or anywhere podcasts are downloaded. This show is hosted by Darryl Jasper and me, Brian Tudor. To find more information about the show, visit us at infamouspodcast.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Infamous Podcast to keep up with the show. We also have a Patreon page, patreon.com/infamouspodcast. We have some great rewards for our patrons and are looking for help to grow the show to bring you more of the content you want to hear. Music for this podcast is provided by Michael Henry from MeetMichaelHenry.com. So, whenever you're listening to us, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.